Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bobby. I'm here with my co-host, Bobby Klebano, and our very special guest Glenn Boddice. I tried to combine his name with guest, I suppose. I'm Christina, and we are already having fun here. So welcome to the madness, and we're glad that you're here. For those of you who are not familiar with Glenn, first and foremost, he's a good friend of mine. But secondly, he is also an amazing spiritual medium. He's a podcaster, a radio host. He's got all kinds of cool stuff going on. He's a rock and roll musician and a paranormal investigator. Oh, what else is it? Gnomes. He investigates gnomes. So we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. And today we were mostly going to talk about Ascension because I have had several phone calls this week and been going through my own Ascension stuff. But people are like, I don't feel like I belong anywhere. I'm lost. What's going on? I can't get my feet on the ground and a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I thought, let's bring in a couple more experts and talk about this. So how y'all doing today, Bobby, Glenn?
Well, honestly, I can't include myself on an expert like the two of you. I'm just here for the ride. I'm the Bobby part of the Breakfast with Bobby. So, one of the things you said, Christina, before we address the Ascension, can you go into that gnome thing? You do investigations on gnomes. I
Yeah,
need to
let's
know
hear about
more.
that.
I have to know.
Yes.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Christina. And thank you, Bobby, as well, for having me on this show again. It's a pleasure to be with you and to chat and talk shop, so to speak, with you both. So you was asking about the gnomes. Yes, I've been on a few investigations, and it's all been in the same location in Nottinghamshire in the UK. And there's a story attached to it that documents way back into the mid to late 70s, I believe, where some children actually had some face-to-face encounters with what we would term now as gnomes. And so it was reported in the news back in the day. They had interviews. I think even the school got involved because there were young children who would be probably about 7 or 8 years old, something like that. But anyway, it was documented, and I got asked to be involved into what is, well, they're calling themselves Gnometeers, the collective of experts of Gnometeers.
I love
So
that.
I got invited to be involved with that, and part of that is to follow the footsteps of the stories and the accounts that were documented in order to have an encounter with these elementals, if you will, the gnomes. And successfully, every time we've been there, we've been chipping away at it, and we've had experiences. We've had sightings as well, as a collective, and we've had various communications with the gnome community. But as you know, they're very curious, like we're curious of them, they're curious of us. And a lot of the time, they do hide. And so it's interesting. There's another one coming up actually, so I'll let you know how that one unfolds. But yeah, that's what the gnome investigation
So are
entitles.
they related to fairies? Is that in the fairy realm?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not an expert with this. I was just invited to come along and bring forward my mediumistic skills in order to tap in and to communicate and find out where they are for the first instance. But in my belief, I believe that they are connected to the Fae, the Fae and the elemental sort of community, as they work in different dimensions to what we're in, obviously. And I believe that they flip between one dimension to another. And I've actually seen that with my eyes, and that it is such a strange thing to witness. Such a strange thing.
Do they look different after they shift?
Well, I'll describe what I saw. I was looking into this wooded area, and all of a sudden I saw this. It looked like as you would expect a gnome to look, with like a beard, probably about 2.5 to 3 foot tall in size, quite robust looking. And I just saw this being popping its head around the edge of a tree. And I was like, what the hell's that? Next minute, as I'm looking at it, I go over to where I've seen it. And all of a sudden, if you remember the old fashioned TVs when they were analog tube televisions and you turn them off of an evening and all the screen would go and go into a white dot. It was like that. This being went like it imploded within itself. It kind of like folded within itself and went into this white dot and just vanished. It was weird to see something implode and then vanish. It was very surreal.
I'm
I can
fascinated.
imagine. Wow. Sorry, Bobby. I'm entranced.
No, it's okay. I was just saying, I'm fascinated at all of this. I dabble in some of that. I'm just learning about it all. And I think that part of my, I don't know what to say about it. I think I have an element of myself that's elemental. And that is because I'm very much into the nature stuff. And I just feel so much at home out there. And I too, on the area that I live, we have 5 acres, and there is a spot out there. And I have seen some things that I can't explain.
It's a fairy ring. I'm just going to say it. It's a fairy ring. I've seen it.
It's a fairy ring. Yeah.
Fantastic.
There's been some other areas also that, again, it just looked like there were activity going on, and I couldn't explain it, but the feeling of the trees that make up the fairy realm is, I can feel all of that. So I was just curious, do the gnomes look, like, what was that cartoon years ago with the little guys with the beards and all of that? I wonder
was it the Smurfs?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? Oh yeah.
Yes.
It didn't look like a Smurf. I would
They
say, if
weren't blue.
anything, it reminded me of something out of, the film Lord of the Rings. There was some dwarfs in that. It looks similar to one of those, but not as muscular. And when I saw it, it didn't have the hat on, as you'd expect them to wear hats. It didn't have the hat on, and it just went really quickly because it was aware that I was staring at it, and it was having a nosy at us. If you can imagine, I think there was about 7 of us staring into the woods, and so it's going to intimidate them. We're stepping into their territory. So I think it was a bit of a scout.
Well, you will have to let us know what happens the next time you come back. We're going to talk about this again, I hope.
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
That would be great. There's so much stuff out there. We don't know. And now we have gifted people like you that see things, and the rest of us, me included, I have to train myself. I really have to learn other skills in order to see that. And sometimes I see it and sometimes I don't. But you are very gifted, and I listen to your horoscope every week. And the fact that you channel all of that is such a gift that, I hope your listeners really appreciate you, because I do.
I do.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So, do you guys have anything more to say about that? Otherwise, I think you guys wanted to talk about Ascension stuff today. And
I'll just say one little thing. You spoke about your abilities in sensing them. I would say that is the key to elemental and, the fairy realm, and also your vibration plays a huge role in that, because they wouldn't allow you to be in that vicinity if they wasn't comfortable in your presence, you see. And you detecting them with your emotions, you'll have a high sensitive feeling when they are around you. So I would say you're on your way to seeing them and having a more, shall we say, a more interactive experience. It's all about from what I've witnessed, it's all about that mutual respect and just letting them know who you are, why you're there, that you mean them no harm at all. And just sit back and observe and notice little changes occurring around you. Sorry, I just thought I had to say that before we moved on.
Thank you. It's a very special place, and I feel the emotions. Each one of the trees has a different feeling to it. and they feel like people. And, you know, I dragged poor Christina down there and said, what is this? And
Yeah, she really had to drag hard. I'm telling you, like
I
I
can
was racing
imagine.
her out the door. So,
well, she laughed.
but the other thing that I want to add to what Glenn said is also invite conversation. Invite them to communicate with you. It will most likely be telepathic, but invite the communication.
Interesting you say that. The last time I went there, stood in the circle and was just waiting for something. And the message that I got was, you should probably pay more attention to your mother-in-law because she's not doing well. And so now, you know, she's 93 and she's doing the best she can. But so I really paid attention to that. So now I go over there more than I ever have. I believe them. I believe what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lovely connection you've got there with them, and to trust that connection, takes a lot of courage, doesn't it?
It's an interesting thing, and sometimes, you know, I tend to think that I'm full of shit, you know, but the feeling that is exuded from the trees is so strong.
It is.
It's incredible. But had I not been able to stand there and really think about it, the downside of it all is it's in the woods and it's near a creek and it's very buggy. And so unfortunately, you know, I asked them, said, I would come and visit you more. Can you control these bugs? My God, I'm getting eaten alive out here. And they laughed and they said, unfortunately, we don't have anything to do about that. So I just go visit them and dress accordingly. And when I've had enough bug bites, then I go back in the house and scratch myself silly.
Sounds to me like you need a beekeeper's suit.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. It's a beautiful area though. And I felt it as soon as I saw the trees. They're kind of a doorway into where the fairy ring is. I felt it when I saw it, and then I walked through it and I'm like, oh yeah, we're in a totally different place. And the one time that I was there though, I asked permission to enter and was told no, but Bobby could enter. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. When they say no, you don't go in.
You don't know what's going to happen if you do that, I suppose.
Well, I mean, if you said no to somebody who wanted to come into your house and they came in anyway, how would you feel about it? You know,
well, right.
Get it.
I'd have to take my shoes off and start using my skills.
There you go.
Right. So, but thank you so much for that discussion. That's incredible. We really, you're welcome to come anytime. I know you're a few miles away from me, Glenn, but you know, you're welcome here.
Oh, thank you. I'll just hop on a bus in a moment.
Yeah.
There about, 5 weeks time.
Right. So go ahead.
I'm getting a drink. Something's
sometimes you need that. Right.
There's Glenn drinking on the job.
H2O.
Well, we're both drinking on the job too.
So. Well, you don't know what I have in the cup, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm blowing on my vodka.
Look at you
coffee.
two with your fancy mugs. I'm loving them.
You'll be getting one.
We will have to send you one. Yeah.
Look forward to that.
Awesome.
Coffee cups are special.
Yes, they are. We were going to talk about Ascension because so many people have been contacting me and asking questions, and I know, Glenn, you've had a fair amount of that going on too, not just with yourself, but with other people, I'm sure, where people are like, oh, what is going on?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, in fact, I responded to somebody today on that very matter. So yeah, it seems it's in a way it's nice. I feel very honored that they feel safe in my presence to open up and say these things. And on another level, it's nice to see people actually attuning to these vibrations. And obviously, as we know, to get to your highest vibration, you have to let go of a lot of nonsense. And this is the scary part. And this is what people are experiencing at the moment. Yeah. So like yourself there, Christina. Yeah, very much so. Lots of people.
So
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, for some of our listeners who are not familiar with all of that, can you explain what the Ascension is? How did this all come to be? Just a very brief description.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay, I'll try my best. From my understanding, everything in the universe is all expanding. It's all about expansion. It's about learning. It's about knowledge. And as we know, some of us are quite stubborn. We like the way the things run. We're very comfortable. We don't want to change. But obviously, if we don't change, it has a knock-on effect in the universe, and it stops that expansion from moving at the rate that it's designed to, so to speak. And so I would say the expansion it's to add all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom, all of the healing, all of the purity back into the universe so that we can all thrive and we can move into different timelines, higher frequencies where we're not pushing against the tide, we're going with the flow, and our abundance seems to magnetically be drawn to us because we've got rid of a lot of emotional, mental, and even physical baggage that we've been carrying around. Some of that baggage is subconscious. We're not aware of it. And when we go through these times of ascension, whether we want to or not, some of these emotions, traumas, things that we've gone through in the past will come up and replay in our minds. And also those emotions will also revisit our emotional body just out of the blue. And we can feel a little bit overwhelmed with that. And for the people that aren't aware of this, they may be a little bit sharp with people. Their behavior might be a little bit aggressive, not intentionally, because they don't realize what's going on. They're just reacting to this new energy shift. So quite a long answer. I do apologize, but that is my experience of ascension shifts and things of that nature.
Yeah, and I can't. I just have to say it wasn't even a long answer, because to try to put this into a complete understanding is a lot more words than what you just said. There's so much going on, and people are just going like, I don't feel like I fit in the new world. I don't feel like I fit in the old world. I feel like I'm kind of hovering somewhere in between. And it's gotten to the point now where it's like you have to make a choice. Are you going to expand? Are you going to let go of what's been holding you back and holding you down and dragging you down? Or are you just going to like sit in it and stay where you are? And I have been shown in the last couple of days through meditation and whatever that it's the split's here. Like we are splitting. We are going into third dimension and fifth dimension. There's not going to be any more walking that line. It's going to be pick one.
Oh boy.
Where do you want to be? I mean, that's what my guides have been telling me in meditation as I've been going, okay, so people are coming to me for guidance. I need some guidance because I don't have the guidance until you give it to me. And that's what they've been showing me is like the split has become, we are almost to the end of the shifting that we've been going through for so many years now. So that's what I've been shown. And so, Glenn, you said something about letting go of the things that are holding you, the physical things. And almost everybody I've been talking to, I would say 80 to 90% of the people I've been talking to, they're just releasing stuff they've had for years.
Yeah.
Just not holding on anymore, just not holding on to those old relics that just carry energy that isn't moving forward. A lot of people are releasing stuff, physical stuff.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes along with what we were talking about last week, you and I,
right.
Where I learned this new technique and I was pulling all the old stuff out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excellent.
So that was, I was tired. I was just laid out the entire next day. It was crazy. I had to, Christina and I had to reshuffle our schedule because I just couldn't do it.
And that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we've dropped down to 2 episodes a month because she has she's retired and wants to spend time with her new grandson. And I just keep adding more work to my piles, just like you do, Glenn. So
Can't help it. It's addictive, isn't it?
it
Once
is
you get going.
addictive. Yeah, it is. Um, but this, what people have been telling me is that they feel better getting rid of the old physical objects that they've been holding on to because of the emotional attachments that go with them, and releasing all of that, and the mental idea of, this has been in my family, I have to hold on to this, or this is, my mom really loved this thing, so I have to hold on to it, even though it doesn't really mean anything to them personally. So there's been a lot of that people have been letting go of. And it really, the split is here, and it's getting more and more obvious every day. It's really just, who's going to stay where or go where or whatever. But it's difficult because we have relationships involved. We have other people involved, and some of those people aren't going to want to go with us or won't be able to go with us. And that's hard. That's not just stuff we're letting go of. That's relationships we're letting go of.
It runs very deep, doesn't it? And it's interesting that you said your guide said that. In a few channeling communications I did, the spirits were saying that although that this split is occurring, not to judge people, it's not a them and us situation. They've said that you've done the work. It doesn't make you any better than those people that don't want to do the work. It just means that you're on a different rate. They will catch up. But you've elected, or the people that have done the work, to be the way showers, so that people can feel more comfortable about this split and this change. And if, when they eventually make that transition, then they've got somebody to aspire, or a group, a collective of people to aspire to be with and learn from. But however, it's an interesting time, isn't it, this split? As I don't know if you're aware, but in the UK, there's been lots of riots and things of that nature been happening. And that's been causing a lot of discord in society. I don't tend to watch the news. Unfortunately, if you don't watch the news, it shows up on your timelines, on your social media, whether you want it there or not. So that's the way I'm aware of it. But already we can see it manifesting in physical form, this split, this shift, can't we? And my guides were saying, all you can do is do not judge, send love, send healing and compassion. They will find their way eventually in their own time when they're ready to do so. And in many ways, my guides have said, actually, you need this contrast, because, it helps you to make a conscious choice, doesn't it? Rather than you just being given that. There's no choice there. You have to go with it. Where there's chaos or there's that, it allows you to use that gift of free will.
Is there an end to this? Is it just going to keep evolving over time forever? Or is there, I hate to say this, a deadline? I'm sure there isn't such like that, but is there a time that it's going to be complete?
Good question. I'm racking my brains now. I would say, infinity. We're continually growing and expanding. So there's going to be various collectives of society at various stages within this. So to answer your question, there's no beginning, there's no end. There's just now. And where we decide to place our focus on. We may be tempted to, like I was just mentioning about the news, to maybe focus on that, and that can pull your vibration down. And you can either continue to focus on that or look beyond it and focus in within. So I would say it's very much of an inside job, and it's just going to be infinite.
Yeah,
and therein lies the ascension, right?
Right. I mean, it has to be, because anything that doesn't grow eventually dies. Right.
True.
So expansion has to keep expanding. That's the nature of it. So, but will it always be this uncomfortable? I certainly hope not. I hope we get a reprieve at some point. I mean, I don't know that it's always going to be this uncomfortable, but right now we're kind of at the pinnacle of what we've been moving towards. So, after that, I almost feel like it's going to be just like, okay, everybody take a deep breath. Okay, now we're ready to move on again. That's the way it feels to me with the Ascension, because we can't just keep going for, we're not built, these brains and bodies are not built for this level of anxiety. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much of it out there in every country, in every society. It's out there right now. Everybody is feeling like this collective anxiety, and I feel like I was told in January through a channeling that there was going to be a big shift in July, and I felt that big shift in July. And then we moved into the 888 Lionsgate, which happens every year, but this is an 8-year as well. So it's 3 8s instead of 2. And a lot of people felt it shift even more then. So I don't know. What do you think, Glenn? Where are we standing with that?
Yeah, usually I don't follow the Lionsgate, I mean, there's a lot of people that get really excited about it. And I just kind of like sweep it under the carpet and say, oh, yeah, thank you very much for letting me know. I'm all right, Jack, sort of thing. But this year, I agree with you, Christina. There was something about it. There was an energy behind it where you couldn't ignore it anymore. I couldn't sweep it under the carpet. I was feeling it every day, these shifts, and I was being triggered mentally and emotionally as well by ridiculous things. I'm going back to childhood, and that reminds me of when I went on holiday with my parents. All of these sort of things were coming up. And at one time, you'd typically British, you'd keep calm and carry on, get your head down, ignore what's happening, and just carry on. But this year, there was no letting go of that. There was no letting up. It was continually there every single day. And so this is why I feel this Ascension portal, Lionsgate portal, was a lot more prominent. Couldn't escape it. And in fact, this year was the first year I've done this exercise where I've been completely open and honest with what I was feeling in my heart, because to me, that's where it was all stemming from, the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took some time out and I wrote out all of these things by stating I release, and then whatever it is I needed to release after that, infinite love and gratitude. And I went through a great big list of stuff. And one of the things that I was encouraged to do by my spirit team was, once I did that, I had to tear that piece of paper up into many strips and then make it smaller and smaller and put it into either a metal crucible or a container. And I had to burn that, obviously safely, until it all went into ash. And then once the ash was cooled down, I was then guided that I had to take this in a container to a prominent river in Nottinghamshire in the United Kingdom there. And I had to go down to the side of the riverbank and I had to put this ash into the water because it was a fast flowing river. It's literally letting go and it's taking that ash, taking it away. So it was a very special sort of ceremony for me this year. I've never, as I say, I've never celebrated it or acknowledged it to the degree I have this year. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely been a big shift, and possibly this is the start of that split. I know the split has been happening for quite some time, but not to this magnitude.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's really interesting. I love those burning ceremonies. I used to do those a lot on the I think it was a new moon. No, the full moon. We used to have the full moon ceremonies when I had an office in Menominee Falls, and we would, everybody write down what they wanted to release, and then we'd do a fire ceremony. And instead of going to the river, because it didn't occur to me to do that, but we would, go out into the forest and scatter the ashes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
That's a pretty easy way of releasing things. It's not complicated. It's very simple, and anybody can do it. You don't have to be in your head so far that you're trying to come up with a list of things. You just write them down and burn them, which is it's very profound, and you get to feel it go and release all of that.
I would say it goes deeper than that. Obviously, to get to that journey where you're okay about writing them down, you have to process them internally and release that sort of guard that you've been hiding all of these emotions in the subconscious. You just have to be present, and then all of a sudden it's like wallop, wallop, wallop. They all coming up. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
It's so yeah. I would say it's a combination, but the ceremony is like the icing on the cake because
Yes.
it's showing you that you are not just feeling it, but it's showing you that you're doing it and you're putting your effort in. So yeah, beautiful way of doing it.
It
A
is.
graduation
Right,
of sorts.
the work getting to it is where a lot of the just really getting honest with yourself to be able to release some things that maybe you weren't ready to release before.
Being honest
Yeah.
with yourself is always the hard part.
It is. I mean, let's face it, all of us, no matter what walk of life you're coming from, we all have to get up in the morning. We have to show up, turn up, and be the best version of ourselves. And as we know, some mornings you get up and thinking, oh, I could do with another 10 minutes in bed. Ooh. You're not feeling your greatest. So, on some level, we do put that masquerade on in order to move forward with positivity, don't we? So, it's relaxing into that, letting it drop.
Realizing you don't need it anymore, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
after the release, you feel free.
Yeah. Until it comes up again 10 years later at a deeper level, and then you do the whole thing over, but at a deeper level, you know?
Oh, don't tell me that. I had a few deep dives over the years. Crikey me, I'll need a scuba diver
Right.
equipment if I go any deeper, honestly.
Oh,
It is
gosh.
interesting though, because, you know, I spent years in therapy dealing with, you know, my core wounds and getting down to the bottom of things. And then every once in a while, something will come up and trigger it at a deeper level and release something even deeper that needs to be let go of. And I have people all the time ask me, how many times do I have to do this? I don't know how many times you have to do this, because it's different for everyone. It's different for every feeling, every whatever it is that's coming up. It's different every time. So you don't always know, you know, like which ones am I going to have to deal with again?
Yeah.
But they certainly come up, and you know, every once in a while I'll see somebody on social media talking about, oh, I had this weird dream, or I had this bad dream. What is this bad dream? For me, every single bad dream that I have had, I can't remember one that I've had that wasn't shame-based. It was bringing up more shame to be released.
Well, yeah, shame is an issue.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it's just, and I can feel it release from my solar plexus. When that nugget releases, I feel it leaving. It's almost like tearing off a scab or something. It's like it's a physical feeling for me, and I don't know if it's physical for everybody, but for me it is. So
interesting you bring up dreams as well.
yeah.
One of my daughters was telling me about, she called it a nightmare, and she described it with, I forget what it was now, but with great clarity. And it was littered with symbolism. So, you know, I unpicked it with her and I said, oh, that's telling you to do this. And she was like, oh, yeah, I never thought of that. And so why I say this, our dreams are giving us like the roadmap to our recovery, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, I think so too.
Very powerful stuff.
Yeah. I know we were going to do a little bit shorter show today, but go ahead, Bobby.
Dreams seem to be one of those things that takes a longer time to decipher, because they seem to be bits and pieces of things that don't make much sense. And it's kind of like you're opening up a garbage can, and all of these pieces of paper that were torn apart at one point all of a sudden landed in the can at the same time. And they're all like a bunch of confetti, and you don't really understand what it is sometimes. But if you pay attention enough, I think it's interesting. Sometimes we wake up and know what we were dreaming about. And other times I can go all of a sudden in the middle of the day, something pricks my conscience and it's like, oh my God, I was dreaming about that. So sometimes you know,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't.
Mhm. Yeah.
The worst ones that I don't like in dream state, where you're consciously aware that your physical body is turning over, you're turning to the left, you're turning to the right. And every time I've had some weird dreams, when you turn to the left, you see like a can of beans. You turn to the right, and there's somebody's flip flops there. And like you can't get these images out your mind. And all night you see, oh, they're so frustrating.
Yeah.
Sorry, a bit random, but I
No,
thought I'd
that's
say.
this whole conversation is random. It fits in perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a thought about the dream thing and waking up. Sometimes you don't remember, but other times, and then part of the dream, have you ever had that where you wake up, maybe go to the bathroom or something, come back and you fall back asleep and you're continuing on with what you were dreaming about prior to that? What's that all about?
Well, you needed a break. You took a break. You went back to work.
All I can say with that one, at least you didn't dream that you was going to the toilet. You was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, because if you're dreaming that, you're going to be up changing sheets and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, you're going to be swimming.
Yes.
Well, good. I took a break. Yeah.
Yes, good to take a break. I actually had one when I was a kid that it was so profound that I remembered that I started a dream one night and completed it the next night.
Oh,
Oh,
It's only happened that one time, but it just stuck with me because I just thought it was so weird that I could start a dream one night and finish it the next night. It was
that's almost like a box set, isn't it?
kind of right.
How cool is
Not that
that?
it made it make any more sense, but it was kind of like a box set. Yeah. So I mean, but it was just that really stuck with me, and I've always wondered if other people have had something like that happen. So people will be commenting, I'm sure.
There are people who say that you can direct your dreams if you write them down, place the intention, and then go to sleep. The solution may be forthcoming. I don't know about maybe it just took you a little bit longer, Christina, to process your dream, but that's really a fascinating thing that you did it 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
Was the solution wonderful? Did you feel peaceful after that?
It felt completed. I can say
Oh.
that. But I mean, I was like 9 years old. I don't really know that I had the mental capacity to really evaluate it. I just thought it was weird that it picked up where it left off.
Hmm.
So interesting stuff.
You're very special.
They say that our loved ones as well, that's the best time that they can have that interaction with us when we're in that sleep state. So
Right.
maybe, I'm just thinking outside the box. Maybe our loved ones are helping to process our unprocessed hurts to help us to heal. And maybe
Like
they're
that.
doing the best way that they can. Obviously, from their perspective, from their dimension, from their reality.
Well, this brings up another memory I have. Just a few months ago, I was talking with my sister who is just really kind of honoring her own sense of self and her intuitive gifts. And we both had a childhood friend growing up north, and my parents were good friends of hers. That being said, we both moved back into the Milwaukee area, and she went on to do something. And so when we were talking about this, she said, I wonder whatever happened to Linda. And so there I am on the computer, and I started Googling her. And she said that she had had a dream about her, our old childhood friend who was really quite active. And at one point she owned a bar. And so, there was lots of emotional stuff and a tumultuous type of life. And so because she came to her in a dream and I Googled it, we found out that she had just died.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So I think that was her message. She was way closer to my sister than she was with me, but she gave Joanne a message that she had passed on. And
Wow.
yeah,
I have
It's
goosebumps.
tremendous.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Again, my sister, I call her up periodically and ask her questions, and I can get her to use her intuition. In fact, she doesn't come out here very often. And I took her over to the fairy portal, and she had names for all of those trees. So
Fantastic.
she said, these are my trees, and I have no idea what that is that you just said. And she said, I have no idea where that came from, but they all had names. They all had functions.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
Channels through. This has been an amazing discussion, but we had to cut it a little bit short today.
Yes.
But Glenn and Bobby, I want to thank you both for just this incredible discussion that we've had here today. And we're going to have to bring Glenn back again because we're not done with this discussion, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
But everyone, just, if you could just like subscribe, click the like button, share with your friends. And Glenn, how can someone get a hold of you if they want to do like a mediumship reading or any of the other services?
Okay, so you can have a look on my website, which is www.glenboddicespiritualmedium.com. You can find me on Facebook, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. I'm on, what's it called? Instagram under the same name, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. I'm on TikTok as well. So you can look me up on any of those.
And you have a YouTube channel.
Oh, of course. Yeah. The same name. Yeah. I forget about all of these. There's that many things, isn't there? Yeah.
So many things. I know. Yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead. Bobby.
Tell our listeners about your Monday morning reading, your horoscope. Where you channel.
Okay. Yeah. I do a weekly energy forecast reading, which is free for anybody that's interested. I release it on the Sunday. And the reason for that is to give people the heads up before the week commences. So just to give them that, uplift and that boost there. So it is released on a Sunday and it's released on the Facebook, on all of the platforms I've just described to you. And basically that started about 4 years ago, and I've been doing it every week ever since, come rain or shine, and all influence from spirit, all directed by spirit, and I just allow myself to relax into it and be that vessel for their words and their work and healing to come forward. So yeah, that's what occurs. And as it suggests, it helps you navigate your way through your week ahead. That is the intention, just to give you that little bit of a pat on the back and guidance.
That's very
cool. That. I never miss it, by the way. I always
thank you.
Watch it. I do want to clarify, though, it's not a horoscope. It's a weekly forecast.
Yeah, it's if you're aligned to watch it, then you will align with the information. That's what I would say.
Right.
I apologize for the
silly. Oh, that's okay. I just didn't want to confuse anyone who thought it was astrology.
Very good. I do enjoy your column. It's right off the top of your head. You seem to be incredibly accurate. It's not horribly long. It's about 8 or 9 minutes.
That's right. Yeah.
Pretty complete reading of the week's energy. I really enjoyed it. So you're doing a great job. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me again. I hope I've behaved myself this time. I know I told quite a rock and roll story last time I was on. I think I've been well behaved.
But everybody really enjoyed that rock and roll story. So I'm just so great. Yes. It's all good. And I also want to give another little plug out for Glenn that he does have a weekly radio show called From Beyond that releases on Mondays. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Christina. Yeah, it's on www.pulsetalkradio.com, and all of the episodes are archived on my website as well. So if you want to catch up, and in actual fact, Christina is on the show. We do 2 episodes a month together where we talk all things weird and wonderful.
Yes.
So thank you for that, Christina. Thank you, Bobby, for allowing me to come back on again. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for giving your time and energy to us today and humoring us for all of our silliness. That being said, thanks a lot, everybody, for coming today. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And click the button, like our show, and share it. And let us know if you want to hear about something and we will pick up the topic for you. Thanks again, Glenn. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next time I'm going to have a big announcement. So just
Ooh,
putting a little
tune in.
teaser out there.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you.